an update on health situation. So we're 6 months in now. This is like first week of January 2025. And I got my scans back in July and the x-rays. So that was that's 6 months now, right? So, and at the time he wanted to do like a full hip replacement. And at the time, I actually wasn't that bad, even though the scans and the x-rays, you know, were pretty bad. He wanted to do a full hip replacement, and I was like, nah, you know, actually I'm grand. And I just thought, like, okay, this is as bad as it's gonna get if that's what it looks like on the x-ray. But I was able to ride Badlands, which is that 800-kilometer ultra distance race. I was able to ride a bike. I was able to go swimming in the sea. I was able to get up, go down to the beach, do my morning routine, go to the gym, do jiu-jitsu. You know, a little bit of pain. I'd take a couple of anti-inflammatories and I'd be grand. You know, go to an airport, get on a plane, things like that. But it's progressively got worse. And I suppose these things kind of get to a stage where 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and then it just falls off a fucking cliff, where it's the progression of it. And I suppose I kind of look at disease as its own little entity. It wants to stay alive, it wants to live. And I suppose, you know, osteoarthritis is an autoimmune disease. It attacks the cartilage, it attacks the joint, its structure itself. And the right hip at the time had no cartilage left, bone on bone, and it had cysts on the head. And the left hip, he said, if he'd have seen that, he would have replaced that as well. So he wanted to do two hip replacements. For me, I you know yourself, you kind of go into a little bit denial on these things where you're emotionally attached to your hips and you love them. You know, it's your hips and you don't want some guy chopping you up. So I was just like, nah, I'll be grand. And it's got to a stage now where I can't walk.
Nice guy. Good boy.
Bring a bottle of water from?
Yeah. Oh no, I forgot about you. No, of course I fucking didn't forget about you. You're joking. You're my number one.
Number one, don't forget it.
They're not allowed, are they?
They're not allowed to see those.
Yeah.
Well, they are on the back now. So.
Go on, get in there. You good?
Simple.
Don't be afraid. After the darkness is light. So don't you be afraid. When it comes along night.
So, not moving too well. Can't get it on the ground without the aid of a wall or a prop or some sort of shit. So, let me see if I can put it down. So it's, and then if I want to get up, it's a problem because I can't bring my leg to get my foot to the ground to push off. It just won't go. It's ran out of space. So, and even if I got here, nothing works. So even though the muscles are strong and I'm able to do leg extensions and all that, I need something like this to push off, to get up And then from here, I can't walk. So I can't put weight on this leg. It's really sore and just gives away. So that's an issue. So just to get back down again. And everything is a bit of an effort. But it's where we are. And I wanted to see how it would progress or how it would go or how it would move on or any of that stuff. So it's, I suppose with osteoarthritis, some people say it's from like a trauma, could be from crashing on the bike, causes a kind of injury, the body adapts, the muscles kind of like pull to one side, standing, sitting, sleeping, years and years, judo throws, takedowns, kicks, adds up. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but what matters is where you are today. So today, I've decided that I've given it long enough, 6 months of trying to do all the stuff that everyone said you should do in order to improve. But I think at the start it was already too far gone. And if you've done a hard sport, you're always banged up. So you're always a little bit achy, always a little bit painful. It's just part of the game. So like even cycling, was always banged up from cycling, whether you crashed or whether it was a hard day, your muscles were sore, or things ached. MMA is the same, jiu-jitsu is the same. Everyone's always banged up, your fingers, your neck, your thing. So you don't really complain. It's just part and parcel of it. And sometimes you just get used to something and you adapt and you keep taking painkillers, and all of a sudden you're down that road and one day you just can't walk. So that's where I ended up. So I'm going to get surgery. It's been a hard process to come around to that, but you know, it's going to fall apart anyway. And I'm going to get to the finish line in bits and pieces, and tape hold me together. So this is the first step of, never had a surgery. I looked into hip replacements. It wasn't for me. It's just for old ladies to go to the shops and get them out of bed. And the hip resurfacing is really looks like something that I could do once, get it done. And because I've waited and done my research, there's a new, it was just a cobalt on cobalt. What the problem with the hip resurfacing was, it came out 30 years ago. It was a new innovation. People were getting them done. And there was a guy in Birmingham who invented it, Dr. Nin, and he had cobalt on cobalt. So you just clean off the head of the femur, put the cobalt head on top, cobalt socket, steel, put it in, and then your normal fluid lubricated it. So the more you did, the better it was. It was made for younger people, 40s, 50s, 60s, that are active athletes that did like extreme stuff. You could go back to that. Full recovery's a year to be able to run a marathon. 6 months, you're pretty much doing everything else. A couple of months, you're pretty much doing most average daily stuff. You'd be back to work, and it's a one-off. But the problem, I was going to go to see him in Birmingham, but it just looks like he got scratched off because all his videos were really old and his website was old. And I was thinking, like, I'll give him an email on the 2nd. And I looked him up last night and he got scratched. Lost his license 4 years ago for keeping bits of bodies for his own little thing. So anyway, that's him gone. There's a guy in Lisbon that I looked up that looks pretty up there. And they're all pretty up there now with the video calls and the way they're doing things. And now there's a ceramic on ceramic bearing just came out. What I was saying earlier was it became popular 30 years ago. 10 years after that, the manufacturer, there's only one manufacturer of the implant, decided to double heat the implant. Thought it would make it stronger, but it made it weaker. And there was lots of complications in patients and they couldn't figure out what it was. Then the operation started to lose a bit of popularity because it wasn't working. So it went back to full hip replacements. But then when they figured out what it was, the manufacturer changed back to the original way of manufacturing. And for the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a ceramic on ceramic bearing, which is a better bearing. If you look at bottom brackets on a bike, a ceramic on ceramic, even in wheels now, the ceramic on ceramic. It used to be old ball bearings that wear out after a season or two. But the ceramic on ceramic, they don't take maintenance, they don't take anything, and they just go for a long time. They're pretty smooth and they're smoother in the process. So this thing has just come out in the last month or two where it's gone through all the tests. So I'm going to look to get ceramic on ceramic Got to make an appointment ASAP up in Lisbon, and then document it. So I'll video him saying what he does. He's pretty educated guy, well up there. Had a look at his CV. Looks really good. He's all about the rejuvenation of the hip, or not the rejuvenation, the resurfacing of the hip. So we'll do that. So I want to get it done as quickly as I can, because the quicker I can get it done, the quicker I can cover. Can't get on the bike anymore. Can't ride the bike anymore. Can't put out 50 watts on the bike anymore. All the muscle structure's there, everything's there, but every day it's more like 1% less, 1% less, 1% less, until you get constricted, and it comes a point in time where you go, okay, this is where I hit the panic button. And same with Jules. I was on one stick every now and then. Now it's crutches, and I can't walk from here to the wall without them. So it's just a case of just like constantly on crutches. Great at dips now. I tell you, my dips are like through the roof. Set to 20 all day. But what'll happen is the legs will start to waste, and then the bone density will go on the legs as well. So you at some stage you're going to have to go a little bionic and accept it, and accept that bits are going to fall apart. And if you can patch them up, we'll patch them up. And it's a mindset. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the recovery. I've seen a lot of people's X-rays, and I haven't seen one anywhere close to mine, which gives me I have a little bit of concern that it's kind of gone too far. I'm hoping that they could just do one and then the second one afterwards, if need be, or if I can rescue the second one, because I have been doing all the right things, like food, diet, exercises, peptides, all those things help, in everything. But I think from the get-go, by the time I realised it was already just mangled, and sometimes you're better off chopping off a mangled leg and getting a prosthetic. You'll move quicker. It's just the way life is. So ahead is good, and I'll just continue on. But it just comes to a point where I need, at what stage are you just trapped in your body and walking around on crutches, and I can't do anything else. I can go shopping, but I can't carry the shopping. Basic shit, can't pick up my kid, like basic shit that you can do or you can't do. And, I've always moved, I've always been physical, I've always been, I've always done stuff. Whereas when it's taken away from you, first and foremost, you realise what a blessing it is just to do shit. How fortunate you are to be able to do stuff. How there's lots of people out there from the get-go have a bad deal of shit, and they're stuck like that all their lives, or they can't get the operation, or they're on the national health and it takes them 5 years, or they make a balls of it, or all these other things that can go wrong. So now it's the process of getting it done ASAP. I've hit the panic button, so now it's like, all right, where do I go? Who do I see? The other thing, when I was looking into it last night, is like it's hard to do with cysts. And when I saw the doctor here in Lagos, she said I had multiple cysts on the head of the femur. Now, I don't know whether they have to be a particular size, or how many there is, or is there a procedure to get rid of them first, or what? Because I don't fancy having a full hip replacement. It's not for me. It's not. Your biomechanics are going to be upset. You won't be running. You won't be doing a lot of things. You won't be doing jiu-jitsu. Risk of dislocation is kind of high when you start doing the stuff that I do. It's very hard to get the leg set the way it was before. So biomechanically, it's going to be completely different. I mean, they've done treadmill tests on these things, and it kind of falls apart after a certain speed. Plus, you got to get it whipped out again in 10 or 15 years' time. And then if I live another 30 years, that's two times I got to get it done, If I live another 20 years, it's probably 2 times I got to get it done. Or the last 10 years is going to be dog shit, where it's falling apart and clunky. A ceramic Birmingham Hip has passed all the tests and it's just been made available. So if you know anything about bearings, which I know a little bit from riding the bike, we used to have like steel bearings in a bike, and you know, after a season or half a season or a bad day in the rain, you'd have to take out the bearings, change them, or re-grease them. Where the ceramic ones, the amount of less drag, how less maintenance they take, and how much better they are. So for me, if I could get someone to do it with the ceramic, and I'm a good candidate for it. If I am, I am. So that's the next process. The next process is like this week, find out where I can get it done, who'll do the ceramic on ceramic, and take that leap of faith into knowing that, you know, I got to get it done. And like the other hip, the left hip, the good one, that's even getting clunky now. So I mean, those tests I got done were like 6 months ago. I'm sure if you took them now, it's going to be a lot worse. I can't put any weight on the right leg. So that's where we're at. My head's good. A couple of days this week where I was just pissed off with it, you know, because you're trapped, you know. And I'm used to doing, you know, releasing the pressure gauge by doing exercise, and then like I can't swim anymore. I just sink, you know. I fucking can't keep my back straight in the water. So there's things that I love to do that keep my head straight I can't do. So I can't go out and ride the bike and clear my head. I can't do a weight session. I can't do a jiu-jitsu session. I can't do the things that kept me sane. And I need those things in my life in order to function correctly. As it is, I'm keeping it together. I haven't had any meltdowns. A couple of bad days where I just like feel sorry for myself, but fuck it. Everyone's going to feel sorry for themselves every now and then. So the next few videos are going to be the process of getting this done and getting it done as quickly as I can in order to recover as quickly as I can. I'd like to think that with all the work that I did with the peptides and the diet and the food and the mobility, even the mobility, I've kind of even knocked the mobility on the head because it's so sore just to move. It's so sore just to do anything that I don't feel like doing it, you know, even though you have to do it. The last couple of weeks I've been just like, you know, so it's one of those things. It could be worse. It could always be worse. So I'll count my blessings where I'm at now. I'm going to lift a little bit today because I can do leg extensions, leg curls, chest and boys, all that kind of shit. So I'm just going to lift a little bit, have a sauna later on, get in touch with the hospital up in Lisbon, make an appointment for next week, go up and see those guys and take it from there. So that's it. We are all one. Hare Krishna, Namaste. Rafter.